Hi, I'm Mike Corder with the Viral Publicity here at Ventano's Italian Grill in Henderson, Nevada. I'm here with Dr. Rhonda Henry, who's a doctor of nutritional science. Good to meet you, Dr. Henry.
My pleasure.
So, Dr. Henry, your story is interesting. It's probably affects a lot of people out there in television land, so to speak. You yourself at one time were 311 pounds. Can you talk a little bit about your story?
Absolutely. Well, I was a fat kid who got fatter. At 6 months old, they said it was only baby fat and leave her alone. And so somewhat left me alone. And 12 years old, my father hated fat, so I was always taken to the next fat doctor, which didn't work. You know, you get a 1,000-calorie diet. How many times do you have to have the same diet? And I was always sick on their diets. At 12 years old, though, there was a boy at school. I really wanted him to like me. So, you know, we need to have motivation. And I went to this latest, greatest fat guru, and who's going to make his daughter thin. Anyway, he said if she stays on this program, to my mother, she'll lose 2 pounds in 2 weeks. And that's when my appointment was. Well, when I went back, and I didn't cheat. Now, I got to tell you, my record wasn't great. I did a lot of cheating, but I didn't cheat on this one, and I put on a half a pound. And he just looked at my mother, and it was like I wasn't even in the room, and he turned around and said, Mrs. Goldbladder, she had stayed on my program properly, she would have lost that 2 pounds. My mother never even asked me, and I knew at that point there was something really, really wrong with me, and didn't try to lose any weight for a long time. But about 6 months before my sweet 16, I went on another diet, and I looked pretty good for about 2.5 minutes, and of course it came back plus, and it was the story all my life. And I finally got up, I lost weight, put on, lost weight, put on. And I never felt well when I was on their diets.
So, tell me how did you finally become successful in losing the weight?
Actually, I almost killed myself, not physically, with the food. I decided one day I hadn't put on a pair of shoes. I had been on one of these diets. And with everything, I got up to 26.5 weight, which women will understand, but I was all in proportion. All my friends were thin. They had to go to the dressmaker. This had to be fixed. No, I was a perfect model, but I was never in the right size, you know, the right year. Anyway, when I decided to go on this diet, and I really lost weight, and then, of course, I put it back on. And I hadn't put on a pair of running shoes in about 8 months, and we were going out with some friends. I had a boyfriend at a time, and I bent down to try to lace up these shoes, and it's the first time I really had fat in front. No waist, no nothing. And I just started to cry, and he came in and he thought it was that time of the month. So, oh, look, I'll do them up. It's not a big deal. Da-da. But I knew that day if I didn't do something, I was going to die. And I actually took some drastic means. I lost 80 pounds really fast. And with that, I got a terrible acne condition. I lost all my hair. And as you can see, that's probably the only two good things I had going for me. But none of my friends noticed anything. They saw me losing this weight. And nobody said to me, gee, you look terrible, or what's wrong with your... Nobody. I realized at that point that I was just a body. It had nothing to do with the way I looked. I mean, I couldn't put a roller in my hair. Women will appreciate that. And I always had a lot of and thick hair. And finally, somebody put me on to a nutritionist, a doctor nutritionist. And I went to see him, and he said, well, I can't make any mistakes with you. Well, I didn't like him right away, but that's how it all happened. And he was a blessing in my life. He put me back. And that's a whole story, but I said, I want some books to read. And he said, well, you need to go back to school. I said, I'm not going to go back to school. Well, anyway, I ended up going back to school, and a little knowledge is dangerous, and a little intelligence is worse. And eventually I got a Master of Science, and then I took a joint class. And I had to do this without walls because I still had to work.
Right.
And I ended up getting a PhD in nutrition in 1980. And then still realized there was things that were missing. I developed a health test, which is a mail order program that I have right now. So people can get health for like $100, 286 questions. They fill out that questions. It's body language. They'll know where they're nutrient deficient. They'll know what foods to increase. There's 2 food programs on there, so whether you need to lose weight, you want to maintain your weight, you want to gain weight, whatever the case may be, because you see, it's never about fat. That's the hardest thing for people to understand. It's about your health. I had terrible, not only allergies, but I had a lot of food intolerances, and that was the reason that none of their quote-unquote diets worked, and that's why I don't use the word diet, because it's never successful, because it's only you're going to lose weight for a minute, and you're going to put it on, but not only do you put it on, you always put on at least 50% more, and you mess up your whole set point that affects women and their hormones. I mean, it just does a mess, a real mess.
That's a great story. It was great meeting with you and talking with you. And so everybody out there, you can have faith if you're in the same situation, that it will get better and can get better.
And all they have to do is call me, and I'll help them. That's right. I'm very transparent when I work with patients. You don't come in and see somebody in a white jacket. I'm not God, and I'm not flying. I'll help you to get to where you want to get to, because that's what the health experience is about. It's a concept of life and living, not mine, but how can I help you to achieve what you want to, because it's not just about weight. It's what's created the aggravation that has stopped you from doing a lot of things you're doing. And if I don't have all the answers, I'll refer you on to somebody who can.
So once again, tell everybody how they get in touch with you.
269-8120, 269-8120.
Great. Good talking to you.